Hi, you've clicked onto today's tropical tidbit for Monday. Main feature here in the Atlantic is Tropical Depression 4. Just initiated advisories from the Hurricane Center an hour ago at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, moving west-northwest over here in the central Atlantic. Zoomed in view over here, you can see it's got a pretty nice, well-defined circulation going now, but in all honesty, this system looks sickly to me, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because it's over cold water. This has a very specific look of a system that's over cold water. If we go look at the sea surface temperatures over here, the system's at about 13 north, 42 west. That puts it in here over 27 degrees Celsius water over here, and it was over 30 plus C, 29 to 30 back here. It's now over 27 C water, and the heat content is not very high over here. If you look at the floater, you see all the stratocumulus clouds over in this area northeast of the system. That's indicating dry, stable air, and you can see that it's right on the edge over here of pretty cold water, and this is a problem for it because it's not going to get into warmer water until, if it keeps its current track, it'll have to get to 50 west to get back into 28 plus C water in here. And this is a problem for the system because if this can't strengthen very much over the next few days, if it gets in here and is weak and spends enough time over cold water that it doesn't have time to strengthen into a significant tropical cyclone in here, it's going to have trouble busting the tut, because you got a tut in here. And remember, what I've been saying is that if this gets strong enough, you can force enough heat into the tut to get it to split off, and this piece backs away, and you end up with a ventilated ridge right in here as upper lows back away on either side. But if this is a weaker tropical cyclone, it's not going to release enough heat. If you notice, there's very little outflow to the north of the system. You see there's very few cirrus clouds streaming away to its north side, and that's indicating that it's not releasing much heat. It's not releasing much heat because the water is cold and it's a weak tropical cyclone. If it remains weak, then it's likely to stay weak and even possibly fall apart as it moves through this area in a few days. But if it can get back over some warmer water right in here and try to make a very quick comeback and ramp up, it could have a better chance. But this, I think, would need to become a hurricane if it were to have a chance of busting the tut and maintain intensity in this area. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this situation. The Hurricane Center also pointed out its very rapid movement this morning. It's moving off at 15 knots to the west-northwest, and weaker systems, a fast movement can ruin surface convergence because a very strong trade wind flow doesn't allow systems to amplify. And if this were to continue in its weak state and not strengthen, then it's possible this could open up back into a wave, is what the Hurricane Center was saying this morning. I don't think it'll open back up, but it may remain weak for a little bit over here, maybe over the next 24 hours. It's moving very rapidly though, so it could get over these warmer SSTs a little bit quicker, and hopefully that, well, not hopefully, but that might help the system, hopefully for it. But this is good news for those in the northern Leeward Islands, that this could be a weaker storm coming towards them. But it may still approach Cat 1. I can't rule out a Cat 1 hurricane getting in here if conditions are right enough for it to take advantage of the warmer water and really try to ramp up in this area right before it gets close to the islands. So these folks in here, the very northern Leeward Islands, should continue to keep an eye on this. This is the GFS day 6 over here. Takes it over northeast of the Bahamas, and here's the 200 millibar at the time. You can see that it has it just strong enough that the tut splits off here, splits off here. You get a bit of a ridge in between. It's not the best ridge in the world. This would be sheared a little bit in here because the surface center's in here, but you can see that with this backing away, this is the way this could have a chance of trying to strengthen under some more favorable conditions than the models are currently indicating. If this were to back away, if enough heat is pumped, and you get a bigger ballooning ridge right in here. So there are ways for this to sneak by the tut, perhaps steady strengthening, slight weakening, and then strengthen again east of the United States. We'll have to see how that goes, but again, it would have to be a stronger system to do that. As far as the track, things are still very close and a little bit difficult to pin down right now. Here's the European from last night. Brings this as an open wave northeast of the Antilles Islands over here, and this model sometimes does that, where even weak systems like Bonnie and TD4, soon to be Tropical Storm Colin, will still initiate as an open wave, and this is a problem with the model sometimes. But this brings it up, starts to close it off in here, but the model wants to recurve it now and brings it over Bermuda as a fairly weak system, recurving into this long wave trough over here by day 6, and takes it on out and develops the system behind. And here are the model spread tracks now, and it's initiated down here, and they bring it west-northwest of the islands over here, and most of these will take it out. Now here's the deal. If we turn on the latitude-longitude lines, let's see, this is a tropical wave. This is the tropical wave that merged with the system, extending to the north over here, this broad dry trough, and this has been coming faster than the system westward, so it's coming north of the system, and I suspect that it's this axis in here that helped pull this out of the intertropical convergence zone and give it a little bit of a northerly component to the movement, because with a trough in here, the high is weaker and the steering flow has a little bit of a bend to it, so this was pulled a little bit farther north by this trough. And I think that as this comes by, you might see the ridge start building in a little bit more behind, and you might see the very slightest of westward bends in the track before it starts curving back up. And I think this will come a little bit farther south of the model consensus, maybe more along the lines of the 0Z CMC Canadian model last night, just north of the northernmost leeward islands over here. And here's the deal: if this comes east and north of 60 west, 20 north, in other words, if it's north of 20 north before it passes 60 west, I think this is gone, and it'll probably recurve. But if it comes to the south of this, that's how you could still fuzzle around with a US hit, possibly. I'm no longer as confident with this that it won't recurve, because recurve has always been on the table. I did think this is going to threaten the US, and I still think it has a good chance to, but we do have to consider reality in that there is a strong chance that this could still recurve, but we'll have to see. You can see if we pick out 60 west, 20 north, you can see the models are kind of split 50-50 over here. And if we were to take the 0Z Canadian run from last night, it takes it pretty far west in here, and you could see this getting up into the United States if the track were to continue. Now this is how close this could be. This is the GFS day 4, and when you look at this, you see Colin over here, you see big long wave trough, you think, okay, it's going out. But you go out day 6 over here, the trough is gone, all flattened out and lifted out, and here you get a very fragile ridge building back in. There's Colin. The GFS eventually takes us very near Cape Hatteras and out. But this is a fragile situation. Again, the tendency with the Madden-Julian oscillation reversing and coming back into our basin is for ridging to redevelop in this area of the world. And so you get these troughs digging in, and then they go out just as fast as they came in. And you get these things trying to come west under the ridge. Going to be a close call now. I can't deny that recurvature is on the table. I did forecast this to threaten the United States. I think it'll get close. Again, a lot will depend on the short-term track and where it comes in relation to the islands. If it comes somewhere like the Canadian comes up this much, you could easily see this getting into perhaps the Carolinas, or just bending west right into Florida if the ridge is strong enough. So it's still a little bit up in the air. The United States is still several days away from this, so no immediate worry. And this would likely be a weaker system unless it strengthens a lot before the islands. And they'll just have to keep an eye on this from Cape Hatteras to Miami over here. Just keep an eye on this to see if the ridge does indeed build enough to catch this and bring it farther west. But otherwise, we're probably looking at a tropical storm, and can't rule out a Cat 1 hurricane for the immediate northern leeward islands, and this could even pass north of them, so they may not get it too bad, but they should keep an eye on this. Even Puerto Rico should keep an eye on this as well, just in case. Just keep an eye on it here, see what it does over the next few days. Its position will mean a lot. We'll see what track it decides to take, and we'll keep watching. And also, here comes the next one behind, and the train may start to begin here as the MJO comes back into our world. This will be taking off ahead of this, but this may develop later back here. So we'll have to keep an eye on this one as well. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.